This week on Squats and Margaritas, it's CEO and co-founder of Burn Bootcamp, Morgan Kline. She has 3 kids. She has a husband. She has a podcast. She has a brand. She's balancing all the things. And that is why she's here today, because I am struggling to do that. Please do me a favor and hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this episode. And please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. Here is my episode with Morgan Kline. Hi, Morgan.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me on yours. I know everybody's probably familiar with Burn Bootcamp. Why start a brand like Burn? What drove you to be a mompreneur?
Yeah, well, I think I can't answer this question without truly giving my husband, Devin, the credit because he is the one who really wanted to go out and do our own thing and start our own brand versus connecting ourselves with, anything else. And so a little bit of a backstory on me is my plan A was to climb the corporate ladder. I worked at the Kellogg Company. That's what moved us around. And that's what got us really to Charlotte, North Carolina, where we are headquartered now. But prior to that, Devin was a professional baseball player, and he then went and worked in a box gym when he got released, and he saw all the things that he didn't love about the fitness industry. And he saw all the things that if he ever got the opportunity to start his own brand and his own company, he's like, I'm not going to do it this way. So it was really him that drove both of us to do something new and to do something that was aligned with our core values and aligned with where we felt the market was missing. And the perspective that I think I've been able to bring into that as a female is my own journey with fitness and, working out in a big box gym and, feeling like it can be a very cold and intimidating industry for so many women. And so I am happy to bring that perspective into Burn Bootcamp and what the brand stands for and how we've evolved in the last 10 years and how we truly want to meet women exactly where they are, whether they're, a mother or a working woman, a working mom, just had postpartum and, is scared to go back into the gym and take care of themselves. And so there's so many different experiences that not only I have had that have shaped this brand, but we've learned from other women that have been part of the brand in the last 10 years. And so building a brand is certainly scary, but you're 100% in alignment, and therefore it doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like this big burden because you're building what you believe, and therefore you can serve it so much better.
I completely agree with that. It's like I have more on my plate now, but I feel more fulfilled. And It's almost like, yes, it's stressful, but when you're aligned with exactly what you're supposed to be doing, it makes it easier. You work with your husband.
Yes.
I have to ask how that goes. You're together, in the evenings, you're together all day working. I honestly don't think I could do it. And talk through how that's going.
A lot of people say that too. Like, I don't know how you do it. I could never do it. So you either get that side of the house, or you get people that have worked with their spouse and absolutely love it. Or you get people that have tried to work with their spouse and no longer do. So I totally get it. There has been ups and downs. There's been learning lessons. There's been challenges in the last 10 years, but ultimately we love it. We love being able to do life together. And I think what we love too is like, we get to lean on each other when things are hard, or when like one of us are having a really tough day. He can kind of carry that weight for me and vice versa. And so the thing that we've learned over time is, we need to pull into each other's strengths and weaknesses. And so Devin and I are complete opposites. Like every personality test you take, we're opposites. Like if you met us, and had a conversation with us, you would know that like, he is like a visionary, like crazy, like ideas and just like moving 1,000 miles per hour and just like, innovative and lots of high energy. That's Devin. And then I am the complete opposite. I am a operational minded person. I love data. I love process. I love order.
Right.
And, so I think we've complemented each other so well. So I do think that that's a big benefit of working with your spouse or working with any partner is like, you have to complement each other. And if we were both visionaries, we would probably butt heads and it would not work. But I think we do have these unique giftings that are so complementary of each other.
Yeah.
And we've leaned into that over time. We didn't do that at first. Like at first we were both trying to do all of the same things. So we did butt heads, and, you know, I would judge how he did things and he would judge how I did things. And so it's an evolution, but we've stayed committed to it because it's our legacy. And we talk about that a lot. It's what both of us want to do, to like leave our legacy with our family and just on this earth. And so it's a constant evolution, Aaron. You know, you gotta really, just like a relationship, you got to learn how to communicate properly. You've got to learn how to really assess like the needs of one another. And so one thing that we do that has helped us a lot is we have like work Morgan, wife Morgan, you know, work Devin, husband Devin, father Devin, mother Devin. Like we wear all these different hats. And so sometimes, you know, when I get home, I want husband Devin when I'm having a conversation. I don't want work Devin. So even if I'm venting about something at work, maybe I just need husband supportive Devin to like be listening to me, and vice versa. So sometimes we'll stop ourselves and we'll be like, okay, what version of me do you need right now? Like, or what hat do you need to wear in this conversation? And so we've been really intentional about making sure that like the stress of work or the stress of home doesn't interfere with the opposite.
I love that.
So that means like, I don't want to bring things that maybe we're challenged with at home. I don't want to bring that into the office and have that play out there. And so those are some boundaries that we've created. And, you know, sometimes they get crossed, of course, it's natural, but just really setting some really strong guidelines, and communication is the biggest thing that's helped Devin and I be able to run this business together.
And you said intentional, like you have to be intentional and you have to communicate. That is where I struggle, just like in the relationship. It's so hard for me to ask for help because I'm doing all the things, and it almost like, as stupid as it sounds, is like, if I have to ask for help, then I didn't do it. It's not on my list of things that I get to cross off for the day. Yeah. But I will just assume that he hears what's happening around him. He notices, and he's going to step in and help. And then when he doesn't, I bitch at him, and he's like, he says it like, ask me. And I feel like I shouldn't have to ask. Yeah, because he should just want to help out and just see that. But yes, it's like, I'm making it harder. Like, I just resent him for not helping it, but I'm not asking. And I'm cognizant of that. It's so hard for me to communicate and just ask for help, because I feel like I took this on and I need to like not let anything fall. And you're thriving doing it, that like asking for help. And it seems like almost like the opposite thing that you should do.
That you're afraid to do.
You're afraid to do. Yes. But that's what's worked.
I've definitely had those moments in time where like, even recently when I've stepped into the CEO role, right? That was his role. I've stepped into the CEO role. So there's been a little bit of intimidation of like, I got to do this, right? Like I can't ask for his help because he put me in this position, or, you know, this is what I'm doing. And, you know, at the end of the day, I have to remind myself that we are on the same team, right? So we don't need to compete with each other. I don't need to tell him how much I'm working and he's not. I don't need to tell him how much I'm doing and he's not. Like, we are a team, and there's seasons of life where maybe I am going to pick up more, you know, at the office than he is going to, but he's also carried me to do that during certain times when I was having babies, you know what I mean? So like when we can remove like the competition and the tit for tat and hey, we're on the same team, we're not actually against each other, and we work way better when we're on the same team. Kind of brings me back down to life. For sure.
Exactly. How was the pandemic for you guys, and what did you learn from that?
You know, March 2020, we had to close every single door. We had 275, I want to say, right around that time. Wow. So every door was closed, obviously everything closed, and we immediately went to our virtual workouts. So I was 6 months pregnant when the pandemic hit. So not only was like chaos happening at work, in all of us, like chaos was happening at home. On top of that, I lost my like OBGYN provider because their office shut down. I Devin couldn't come to any of my appointments. The world was spinning for sure. And I honestly don't know how I got through it if I look back and think about all the things, but I did, because I just took it one day at a time. And, you know, I think one of the biggest things I learned is that no matter what you plan, your plan is not always going to go according to plan.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I think it's like allowed me to always be super fluid with my goals and with the plan and like how we're going to get there, and being wide open to like the challenges that are going to come my way. Because if you think about the pandemic, when you were in a business that's in 40 different states, what was working in Florida was not working in Michigan. And what was working in North Carolina was not working in California. There was obviously all those different counties that had different strict guidelines about in-gym fitness, or, you know, different states. And it was a lot. And so I think I've learned how to be open, how to be more flexible, and how to just not get so caught up in the plan. And like I told you, I'm very methodical. I'm very operational. So I do like a plan, and I like to follow the plan. And I think that taught me a lot about how you can still accomplish so much, and you can still grow, and you can still move forward when things are a little bit chaotic.
Exactly. You've proven that. Do you like time block your day? Because again, CEO, you're a wife, you've got 3 kids. So it's like, as soon as you come home from work, I'm sure it never stops, but then it's like soccer practice and dance. How do you, I almost just have like that guilt that I'm not doing enough for my kids, and I don't know how to allocate time and admittedly shut off the work side of things so I can like check in with my kids. Like, do you plan out your entire day like hour by hour?
I do. I'm a big planner. If you look at my calendar, you see like I stick by my calendar very much. And you know, I'm back to working pretty much an 8 to 5. You know, like I know that that's so taboo, but like that's where I thrive, because it's my routine, it's my schedule, and it's when my kids are at school, it's when I have my, you know, my nanny. And so of course I have flexibility within that, right? Like if I need to take a day off, I get to do that. If I need to work from home, I get to do that. Like I have flexibility, but I enjoy that structure. And so everything for me is very much planned out. I'm a big planner with talking to Devin on where I need his help to take the kids to school or pick up from dance. Like he is very active in that regard as well. And so when we had our 3rd kid, it was like, hey buddy, I can't do this alone. So I feel like that's really when it shifted for him, of like, hey, we're 50-50, let's do this. So but he likes to know in advance. He doesn't like things thrown on him at like on the spot, which who does? So I do a really good job at like on Sunday of like planning out our entire week. Devin and I share a calendar. So I'll put things on there that I need from him and make sure he obviously doesn't have conflicts as well. And then like for me, as far as like the mom guilt and the balancing, it's yes, when I am home, I try to be very intentional in those 2 hours from like 5 to 7 until I put them to bed of
how,
you know, listen, this can wait. Whatever's happening from 5 to 7, in my opinion, can wait.
For me, it's not even like answering an email or like physical things. It's mentally, I can't shut it off and be present. Like we're playing Candyland, but I'm not there. And even when I'm attentional, like lock in, you're with your kids, and like they may not even notice, but it's like I have such a hard time shutting up. I'll think of something for a show, or I'll think of I can't shut it off. I'm not doing emails, but I'm not there.
Yeah, I think maybe one thing that does help me, you probably work from home, right, Erin? So for me, like closing out my mind of the day is my ride home from work. So I would maybe encourage you, like when you're ready to kind of shut that down, go do something that like you go for a walk around the block, and it's like, okay, that's my ride home. And when I come back into the house, like the work is going to go, you know, go stay at the office. And now I'm going to step into mom mode. So, because I agree, on the days that I'm like working from home, it does all run together, and I'm like, the computer's right there. I'm still thinking about it. I didn't get that shut off time. So I would encourage you to do some sort of activity where you kind of like leave the house and you come back and pretend that that was your ride home from the office.
Yes. Transition. Because I literally am, there's a door right here. And when my kids come in, it's like, I will get off the microphone and walk out the door, and I'm mom. There's no transition time. So I'm just kind of like still somewhere else. And I almost like wish I'd had somewhere to go that I could.
The other thing that I do at like my end of the day is I do look like at my to-do list one more time, and I carry anything over like for the next step. So I can kind of like mentally say like, because that's the other thing for me. Like anytime I'm like feeling anxious or I'm feeling rushed or I'm not feeling organized, when I can take some intentional time and sit down and write my plan out for the next day or write my plan out for the problem I'm tackling, it just brings me so much more peace.
Same.
And so like, you know, if you can like, instead of going straight from microphone to mom mode, like take that transition time where you're either writing down, okay, here's the things I'm going to focus on tomorrow, and just kind of download your brain.
Get it out of the brain and onto the paper.
But let's be honest, like as an entrepreneur, as someone who's creative, you know, you are going to be constantly thinking about ideas, you know, I do that too, you know, or sometimes like Devin and I will be at dinner and I get an idea, you know, and I write it down in my notes. I don't necessarily try to dwell on it, but I think it's impossible to actually truly shut our brains down when we are entrepreneurs and when we do have like that drive to just constantly be doing more and being more of ourselves. It's not a 9-to-5 job where you shut your computer down and I'll see you tomorrow at 8. Right. Like that's not what entrepreneurship is. And so just these little things though, these tips and tricks have helped me a lot.
What advice would you give to another mom who maybe has an idea to build a brand or has something going, but hasn't been able to grow her brand?
For one, it's surrounding yourself with the right people. Because sometimes we get stuck and we get held back because of the people we're surrounding ourselves with. And that doesn't always necessarily mean, you know, friends and family, but are you connecting with people that are inspiring you and that you can get ideas from, that you can pick your brain and you can be kind of pushed to keep moving into a, you know, forward direction. And so, you know, because sometimes when you're in that startup mode, you don't have all this extra money to hire a coach, hire a mentor, hire all these people. And, you know, I didn't even start doing that until literally this past year, like 10 years into business. It took me that long to give myself the permission to actually hire like a coach for a couple things and join a mastermind, right? That, you know, I used to never allow myself to spend that type of time away from my business, but it has helped me so much. So get gritty right now. Like just start networking, start talking to people that you follow, that you're inspired by, and just, you know, some of it will land and some of it won't, right? Like some people will respond, some won't, but it's all about who you surround yourself with. Because if you are feeling stuck, there's probably some voices in your head that are limiting, like it's a limiting belief, whether that's your own voice or whether that's someone else's voice around you. You need to really figure that out, because if it's your voice, like let's break through that. That's something you need to work on. But a lot of the times it's also the stuff you're consuming, right? Whether that's TV, social media, podcast, books, or it's people that you're consuming yourself with.
And their energy. Yeah.
And their energy, right? And their belief in you, which is really their own belief in themselves, but sometimes it's not strong, right? And it's the projection of their own belief. And so, if you're ever feeling stuck, and that's anything, you know, that's not just business, but get gritty and just start learning something new every single day, you know? And that's what Devin and I did in the beginning of building this brand. Like we did not have money. We don't come from money. We had, a couple $1,000s in the bank. But what we did have is like just an energy and a drive to learn, to hustle. Learn something new every day. There's nothing that's not on the internet for free in this day and age, right? That you can't find and figure out, you know, what to do. It takes time, but it takes discipline, but it's there. And so if you want it bad enough, like you can do it.
And seeking it out. Like you just said, like, I just took your advice. That's what I'm doing by having you here. You're somebody that I respect. I respect what you've built, and I'm asking you. So it's like, ask somebody who's been there and who's done it. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, you feel like, no, I'll figure it out.
We get very prideful.
It's prideful. It's almost like cheating. Like, no, she had to figure it out. She's not going to just tell me how to do it. So I don't ask. And I'm like, oh, she figured it out. I'll figure it out. There's somebody that knows a way to do it. They've already done it and can show you probably a quicker way to do it. Ask for it. Like, it's pride.
Yes. And the right people love to give that, right? They love to talk about that. They love to teach people like the lessons that they've learned. And that fulfills me when I can, you know, and that's why that's what I love about franchising too, is that I have, you know, people that are part of this brand that are starting business for the first time. And so yes, of course, I want to give them all the things that I know and that I've done and the mistakes I've made, and then, make sure that they don't make the same ones. It doesn't mean they're going to be perfect, but passing it forward.
You're CEO of Burn Bootcamp. If anybody doesn't know Burn Bootcamp, and is looking to maybe start a fitness journey because it is the new year, just talk really quickly about what the workout is and what the community is about.
Yeah. So it's a 45-minute workout, and it's strength training and cardio. So every day you're going to get a different workout. We have, we're open 6 days a week. So we have a 6-day protocol that splits up your body, splits up your muscle group. So you're not overtraining any one particular muscle group. And then I really want to hone in on the fact that we never do the same workout twice. So we're constantly challenging you. We're really open for all fitness levels. So a lot of people think they need to get in shape to go get in shape. And that is not the case. And that is not the truth at Burn Bootcamp. We want to meet you where you're at, whether you've never worked out a day in your life, whether you're a marathon runner, or whether you're coming over from another high intensity boutique fitness gym. We're going to have a level for you, right? So we have our baseline, and then we mod up, we mod down. We have tons of pregnant women in our brand. And so we have modifications for pregnant women or any injuries. So really thinking of a personal training in a group setting, and that group setting is, the culture and the community that we have built is one of positivity, of no judgment, of building each other up and not tearing each other down. And that's not something you always see in the fitness industry. And I talked a little bit about my background in fitness of, I never felt accepted in a big box gym or really any classes, right, that I would go to. I felt like women were judging me. I was comparing myself to them. Nobody ever knew my name. I didn't build friendships. I just was there to work out and leave. And at Burn, we're really there to support your entire journey to health and to building your goals. And so that's not just physically, but that's emotionally, that's mentally, and those are the things that we surround you with if you come into our gym. So you're going to get focus meetings where you get to meet the trainer, talk to them about your goals, and start working towards not just the physical piece of it, but the mental piece and the nutritional piece to it. Because let's be honest, that's a bigger piece than the actual physical. And so Burn is just there to support you really through that journey. And along the way, you're going to not only get results, but you're going to meet some amazing women and build some amazing relationships that hold you accountable, but also, challenge and push you to be that next version of yourself.
I love it. And I do want to talk about that nutritional piece, but one more fun fact that you didn't mention, if there's a woman sitting here I would love to, but I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have a young kid.
Yes.
What's the fun fact?
Yes. Sure. Yes. So we offer complimentary child watch, and this is huge in the boutique fitness space because, some of our competitors, they don't have that. And that is square footage that we've chosen to invest in because we are serving that woman, right, that you talked about. And that is such a barrier of, women that are either stay at home or they're working and they don't want to necessarily, give up their health routine. It's also a place for kids to come during that 45 minutes. It's included in your membership where, not only are they seeing you be a leader and lead your life, but they're having fun in child watch, and they're in a safe environment where, they can be where you get your workout in.
Yes, it's a game changer. I just want to say thank you for building that and for noticing that, because I was on your podcast, and when I just had my baby, we moved to San Diego. I didn't know anybody. So I didn't have family. I didn't have anybody to watch her. And so I had to just go out with stroller runs and stuff and try to be creative. God, if there would have been a Burn, but I didn't know about it then. And it's truly a game changer. Yeah. You mentioned nutrition. For me, and I think we talked about this a little bit, I had such a disordered eating past, and I was so regimented and restrictive. It is hard for me to even think about counting macros or going back to that mindset where I feel deprived. How do you manage your nutrition now? And is it more, I think you already answered, it is more nutrition than workout. As a busy mom, how do you focus on nutrition? Is it meal prep? What are your tips there?
Yeah, it's definitely meal prep. I have been down that path of all the counting, and we talked about this a lot in the podcast you and I did. And, I've had disordered issues of like my body. Body dysmorphia for sure. I had one of those Garmin watches where I'd be like, okay, I've burned this many calories. Now I need to go burn more because I consumed this. So many women are struggling. I've worked with thousands of women, and it is, it's just not good. So, I am more of like intuitive eating and balanced eating. I do not believe in depriving yourself of anything, really at all. So gluten, for example, it really bloats me. Like I've learned enough about my body because I've just done enough, like working with myself, working with my gut, working with my hormones. I know that gluten just gives me a lot of bloating, and it takes a while for that all to go away. So I eliminate that. Does that mean that if I'm out, I have something that's gluten? Well, yeah, I have done that, but I just know what my consequences are is like, you're going to have some heavy bloating.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I'm not depriving myself of anything. And, I love eating in more than I love eating out. So like I'm big on meal prep. Again, I'm a planner. So throughout the week, I know what I'm going to be eating. I know what my kids are going to be eating, but we still give ourselves that permission to, eat out as we need to. Obviously, I travel a lot. So that's probably one of my biggest challenges right now is learning to eat like still really healthy on the road. When there's not a lot of healthy options in certain areas that I go, but yeah, I don't do the macro counting. I don't hate on that either, by the way.
No.
It works for a lot of people.
It totally worked for me. I just don't, it's like, don't you almost think that once you figure out your macros, it doesn't need to be a daily, like, I know people that live and die by their macros and they're calculating, which is what I used to do. But I found out just in macros, for anybody that's listening, macronutrients are what make up calories, protein, carbs, fat. And once you know what your unique macro need is to live like optimally, it's not that something you have to calculate every day. I figured out when I downloaded my Fitness Pal to figure out my macros that I was under eating by 900 calories. Like, so I figured out I need more regular food. I mean, nutrient rich foods. And I found out that I was hitting my sugar by like 11 o'clock in the morning. So it gave macros, counting that gave me the knowledge that I still live with today, but I don't obsessively calculate. It's something you can figure out and not have to live day to day.
Like typically in a focus meeting, if you're having one with me as a trainer, I would actually ask you to log for a good 5 to 7 days. And I would say, give me the good, bad, and the ugly. Like, tell me honestly what your week looks like. How much are you eating? What are you eating? And that does give me like that guidance to then say, oh, wow, most of the time women are not eating enough. Right. Like I like habitually, I would see that people are eating like 900 to 1,200 calories.
Because that's what we're taught.
Because that's what we were taught.
Cut your calories for weight loss.
Cut your calories. And so I would see that. And then obviously like we're doing strength training, and we're doing things that I need you to eat more protein. I need you to actually eat more calories. I know that's very scary because you're afraid you're going to gain weight. But if it's the right foods, which I can help you with the right clean foods that are going to fuel your body. If it's the right foods in the right amounts, in the right portions and stuff, like it's actually going to speed up your metabolism. It's going to make you burn more calories at rest because we're going to build your lean muscle. And so I do recommend it for anyone that doesn't really have a pulse on how many grams of protein are you eating per day. Because if you are not getting enough of those macronutrients that you need, if you're eating not enough fat, your hormones may be messed up, right? If you're not eating enough protein, you're not going to be able to build that lean muscle. If you're not eating enough carbs, you don't have the energy to sustain you. So I love what you can learn from macros. It's just not having it be that obsession. And so, I kind of know now what 120 grams of protein is per day because I've done it for so many years.
When we're talking about this obsession with counting macros, counting calories, we both have a daughter and we both have been open about our past struggles. What tips do you have for just like modeling, I guess, a healthy body image for your daughter? Because I'm sure like you, like me, we do not want this to pass down.
Yeah, I think it's the language that I speak in around my daughter. Not only do I not let myself speak it around my daughter, I just don't let myself speak it, right? Like I don't call myself fat. I don't call myself fluffy. I don't have any negative words to say about my body. We're like, I love my mom to death. And mom, if you're listening, don't worry, you haven't screwed me up. I'm good.
I know what you're going to say.
But my mom, she grew up in this era, right? Where she stepped on the scale every day, or she called herself fat, like she did a lot of those things that had that negative connotation with your body image. And so I did grow up around that, and I had a bit of it, and I've had to work to say, no, I'm going to break that cycle. And I sometimes actually have to tell my mom in this day and age, don't say that, because she'll say like, oh, look at my belly or something. I need to stop eating so much of this. And I'll say, Mom, we don't talk like that around, Cameron, or we just don't talk like that, And so you do have to break that cycle, whether it's to the conversation you're having to yourself or the conversations that you're allowing around your children. So if Cameron ever says anything about her body, I don't compliment her on necessarily how her body looks. I always talk about strength, right? How do you look so strong? Or, if she has stepped on a scale, I'll be like, oh my God, you're so strong. I don't associate it with anything with skinny or fat or overweight or anything like that. And so that's something that we work on. And then again, it's just about how she sees me talking to myself. And so even though it seems a little braggy, like I'll say things like, yeah, mommy's beautiful, or mommy's strong, or, guess what, guys, she has said, mommy, your butt jiggles a lot. And I was like, I know, it's so strong.
My daughter says the same exact thing to me. We'll be on a walk, and if I go in front of her, she's like, why does your butt jiggle when you
Oh yeah, she's like seeing me get undressed, and she's like, mommy, your butt's jiggling when you and I'm like, and instead of being like, of course inside I'm just like, but I was like, okay, this is a chance for me to just be like, yep, it sure is. And guess what? Mommy has fat on her body. We all have fat on our body. And so it's just how we speak around our kids, but also how we speak to ourselves, because they're going to pick up on that. And if they don't see that confidence in me, I can't expect them to have that confidence in their self. And confidence is one of the biggest things that I've seen lacking in our members and women. And that makes me so sad. And so we actually focus at Burn Bootcamp on building confidence in people. And it's not necessarily about the fitness. It's like, no, we're in the fitness industry, but what we do is we build confidence in people, and we seek to build confidence through fitness. So when they come to our gym, we want them to feel that empowerment. We want them to feel stronger. We want them to do something every day that they didn't think that they could do. So that translates outside of their life, right? Doing the hard things outside of the gym as well. But when you do that little thing in the gym that's hard and you didn't think you can do, you start to build confidence in yourself. And that translates into how you act and behave around your children, around your husband, around your friends, and what you say when you look into the mirror.
And it's not just about a physical ideal, but like when I got my physical together, it was like, then I wasn't obsessing over that anymore. Like that confidence, then you can kind of like go on to the rest. It does reflect on everything else in your life. Because if you have that noise where you're not feeling good in your body, it's like nothing is good. You just have like this cloud. I'm like short with my husband and like short with my kids, but it's my body stuff. So it's like when you can get that, when you start to feel strong and you start to like, complete those workouts, it spills over everywhere else. I love too what you said about your daughter. It's how you talk to yourself, because they watch, and it doesn't matter how much you're like, oh my gosh, well, it shouldn't always be physical. Like, you're so beautiful, you're so smart. Saying it to your daughter, she sees what you're saying to you. So you have to talk to yourself like you talk to your daughter. I just had Kenya Moore from Real Housewives of Atlanta on, and she was like, I always step on the scale. I didn't even notice, but like you said, your mom, right before I got in the shower, she was just like a habit. And she goes, the other day I look over and my 3-year-old is on the scale, and she was like, oh my, like she goes, she doesn't even know what she's looking at, but she does what mommy does. So it doesn't matter what you're saying to her and like hyping her up. She looks at how you talk to yourself. So that's where it has to start.
That's where it starts, for sure.
Yeah. So it's a new year. People are all talking about New Year's resolutions, and they go in on these drastic, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to, it's a dry January. I'm not going to drink any alcohol. And they do these like very drastic things. Talk about how you look at doing changes, like more gradually, and why that would be a better way to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, whether you want to have this big lofty goal or not, like you're never going to be able to achieve it if you don't break that goal down into smaller bite-sized habits and smaller goals. And so I am not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions. I'm not a huge fan of someone coming in and giving me an unrealistic goal, because what happens is they haven't really made that a SMART goal, and they haven't broken that down into, okay, well, what changes and what do I need to stop and start doing to achieve that goal? And if you can't do that, then you're just living aimlessly and hoping that that goal gets achieved by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to lose 50 pounds by the end of the year, okay, like I'm not going to hate on that goal, but okay, now let's talk about, well, what does that mean? What do you want to see done every 90 days? You know, like what are those kind of stepping stones that you're going to do to get you to that 50-pound weight loss goal? And what are the habits that you're going to start doing? And what are the habits that you're going to stop doing? And so that's something that's been really big that I've incorporated into my own goal setting is, what am I going to start doing and what am I going to stop doing? So for an example, if some sort of weight loss goal is yours, or let's just go with weight loss. Okay, let me think about my daily habits right now. And what am I doing that's taking me further away from achieving that goal? Well, maybe it's drinking Diet Coke every day. So what am I going to stop doing? I'm not going to stop drinking Diet Coke cold turkey.
Right.
I'm going to say, I'm going to reduce my Diet Coke intake by 50%, right? Like that's what I'm going to stop doing, is drinking that much Diet Coke, for an example. And then what am I going to start doing? I'm going to start incorporating 20 minutes of daily activity into my day. So focus on those two things first, and then let's master those habits. And then let's say, okay, now I'm ready to stack on another habit, right? Now I'm going to reduce my Diet Coke by, another 20%, and I'm going to go 30 minutes a day. Yep. And then maybe I'm going to start drinking this much more water a day. So those are kind of what I'm talking about, of like, break down your big goals by little things that you can actually, realistically attain. You know, those SMART goals that there's a whole
measure.
Right? You measure it. It's realistic. Right. It's timely. It's all the things I can't think off the top of my head.
Actionable. I don't know.
Yeah, actionable. It's specific, right?
Measurable.
Okay, I think we might have covered all of them in there. But right. It's about the daily habits for me. And it's about not going so extreme, because I think you're setting yourself up for failure when you go so extreme and then you don't see any sort of progress or result or reason to celebrate. You quit, and then you don't think it's attainable, and then you're just back to square one. So you actually have to take control of your life if you want to see change, and you actually have to change your daily habits to see anything bigger than what you have now.
Completely agree. This has been fabulous. We touched on so many different things. Do you have any other fun things coming up for you or for Burn?
Gosh, there's a lot down the horizon, probably too quick to tell, but I will say that Burn is like, we're just focused on reaching as many people as we can. Right. And, we do that right now through our gyms and, our online content. And Devin and I are just so passionate about serving as many people as we absolutely can. We believe that's what God placed us on this earth to do, is impact people in a positive way through health and fitness. And so, we're just excited to bring more opportunities to serve more people.
And where can people find more about Burn and find you?
Yes. So burnbootcamp.com, you can go there and all of our locations are listed. It will take you to the location page. And we always offer a 7-day free trial. So you can check us out for 7 days. There's always different promotions going on at different locations. So the best way to do it is find us through the website, or you can follow us at Burn Bootcamp. And me personally, you can follow me on Instagram at morgan.a.kline. And also, you mentioned I have a podcast. It is the Burn Bootcamp podcast. So you can search that in everywhere podcasts live these days.
I am so impressed with what you've built in your community, what you're doing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for Child Watch. And yes, I can't wait to see what you do next.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin. Thanks for having me.